let's talk about last week. There were 3 total votes. 2 votes went to Ronnie. 1 vote went to Smitty, and the only vote for Smitty was Smitty himself voting for himself.
I didn't realize we had the option to stuff the ballot box.
Hello, party people. Welcome into episode 7 of the Players Meeting. Thank you for being here. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for the words Win Dummies. I'm excited for the show tonight. We have quite a bit to unpack from this weekend. We're going to recap the women's and men's side of Texas States, talk about some of the main storylines, take a look at our picks from the weekend. We have a rules-related question that needs some attention, and we will take a peek at our Survivor League as someone has been booted off the island, which will bring us down to 2. But first, let me introduce you to the main stars of the show. To my left, the one-time world champ, Chris Smith, a.k.a. Smitty. Right here. Well, I guess it's my right.
I'm above you. I'm on
right
top
here.
of you.
He's right here.
Elbow drops.
And right here, we have the Step Pup Master, Mr. Ronnie Unruh. Gentlemen, how you feeling this evening?
Great.
I'm good. Yeah. Better than Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie's having some technical difficulties over there, but we're working through some things. And let's just jump right in to what's popping, what's been happening around the world of disc golf. All right, let's just jump into Texas States and look at this first round. All right, round 1 for the ladies. Own did not disappoint. Own did own things. She just smashed the course, 11 under, 10-19 rated. Steen, a newcomer, lefty, who came really out of nowhere, shot 10 down and was 10-10 rated. And Holland Handley also had a 1,000 rated round at 9 down. The men, Anthony Barella shoots 10 down to take a 1-stroke lead. His round rated 10.75. A few new faces in the mix there. And if we take a look at just the top 12 dudes here, all within 3 strokes after the first round. So kind of exciting. Round 2. Steen again shoots 10 down. The first time in her career that she shot 2 1,000 rated rounds back to back, tying it up with Own, who shot 9 down. But the big story was Kristen Tatar, who shot a 10-24, 12 under to jump into 3rd place. On the men's side, AB went bonkers. 16 under. We're going to talk a little bit about this later. 11.06 rated round. Ezra shot 11 down to move into 2nd, and he did that with 2 bogeys on the card. And then the final round on the women's side, Anakin, she did it. 9 down. Owen struggled with the putter. Tatar and Steen battled the entire round. Steen made a huge putt on 16 to keep the lead. They both took par on 17. Steen went slow disc on 18 and landed safe. Tatar missed the island, allowing Steen to lay up and win. And she shot another 1,000 rated round, shooting for the event 1,006, 64 points above her rating, which is absolutely phenomenal. And then on the men's side, the front 9 looked like Ezra and AB were going to battle to the finish line, but Ezra fell out of pace, and Gannon put the pedal to the metal. AB made a 30-foot putt, well, probably more than 30-foot putt on 16 when Gannon was parked. Then again on 17, Gannon parked. AB was deep, edge of the circle, and AB drills the putt right in the heart, keeping his lead at 2 strokes. Going into 18, Gannon goes 400-foot spike hyzer and nearly cards the ace, leaving him a sure 2. AB goes towering hyzer and spikes it into the hill about 25 deep, lays up and wins by 1. Awesome weekend. I want to start really just by talking about Sten's win. She is the first Norwegian to win, but the 5th woman to win from a country outside of the U.S. Smitty, how special is this?
Man, she looked like she belonged there in the 2 rounds. I watched the last back 9 of the second round and all of the final round, and she played great. I mean, obviously 3,000 rated rounds is pretty amazing. So, yeah, if you just tuned in for the first time, you wouldn't know that she wasn't a front runner all the time.
Yeah, she's not out of nowhere, right? I mean, we've been aware of her for a while. Maybe people weren't aware that she's that kind of player that could go out and not just win, but play great for a whole weekend. So yeah, I mean that might have been a little surprising to some, but you're right. I mean, she looked the part the whole weekend. Never phased.
That putt on 16 was, man. I was betting this. I was a betting man, and it was with authority right in the middle.
No.
Yeah, she played extremely well.
And then 17 kind of, I mean, they both just played for par, basically. Kristen tried to get a little bit closer, but it was a tough get for him. I did see Sarah Hokum, I think, flick it and park it. Some little shot Kristen didn't do that. Maybe she didn't practice it, or maybe she just felt like time and place wasn't right.
I think she was. Yeah, I think you're right. I think she was just banking to try to get to the last hole, maybe down a shot, try to win it there. Hope that I can win out of bounds or something, because Kristen parked it the day before, just absolutely underneath the basket. So they could get it. It was right at 300 feet, but it was a extremely small landing zone. And, I'm sure Kristen thinks right there, if I throw this, I still have a chance, even if I make 3. If I throw this out of bounds, the golf tournament's over. She can lay up twice and beat me. So I have to assume that was the strategy.
Maybe, yeah. But, I mean, 18 just wasn't hard enough to
It's fair.
I mean, it just looked so easy for any of them. I mean, Sten threw a really slow disc and didn't look like she threw it hardly at all, and just cleared it just enough to lay up.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far it was, but it couldn't have been very far. Maybe 230 or 40 or something.
Yeah,
they weren't they weren't throwing much at it. And when Kristen, went up one time to a fairway, she was through the back with a lot of speed.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to talk about the course, or courses, right? 2 courses, same property. Brock Premier for the men, Brock Diamond for the ladies. Ronnie, let's start with the ladies. How do you feel about the Brock Diamond course, and then being able to play 2 different courses for coverage?
Well, I think for the purposes of making sure we get these tournaments in and not having to really stress with putting them in behind the women, and being a 7 a.m. until dark every day kind of scenario, I think the 2 courses is the way to go. Split them up, if in any way feasible. The women's course I found quite boring. I think they found it quite boring, and I don't think it challenged them much. I mean, I think at one point I saw, maybe it was sometime middle of the day on Saturday, that 64% of the field was under par. And you don't see that in the women's game very often. You usually see a handful under par, maybe a couple way under par, and then everybody else is, probably way over par. As this was just probably a little too easy of a track for the professional tour for them.
It seemed pretty short. They were getting a lot of putts that, they closed a lot of park jobs on top of putts. So they had a lot of opportunities to score. So I think the length and maybe difficulty of the holes was, like you said, way too easy for a women's pro tour. It let us see some new ladies up towards the top.
It did.
Yeah, let's look at those ladies, right? So if we look at the top 11 ladies here, Smitty, is there a common denominator for why these women played so well in Houston?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know their games all well enough, but if you look at the top three, they smoked the rest of the field. I mean, there's 8 strokes from Own, who I think they said she missed 6 or 7 inside the circle putts the last round, something like that, something that was crazy. I mean, there's still Missy's. We've said that before that she's one of the top players by far. But then the names that shock me are Lawrenson. We don't see her at the top very often. I don't know if it's a distance thing or what, but she aced 18, I believe, on the first round. Was her that aced it. Rebecca Cox, who we know has lots of skill, but makes a lot of bad mistakes at inopportune times. Sarah Hokum, who she can do whatever she does to get the disc there on those strange flick angles, and it's not pretty, but I guess it's effective.
I think if you look at this, I mean, there's outside of Sarah Hokum, which I don't think anybody's going to confuse with a good putter. She's been good enough to win a couple world championships, but it's never been the strength of how she plays. I think if you look at the rest of these people, I mean, you got a strong group of female putters there. I mean, the top 4 might be, and Anakin was fantastic. The other 3, I think, are clearly the 3 best putters on tour. Lisa Fakis is a putter. Valerie Mandujano is a putter. That seems to be a pretty common thread up and down that leaderboard, with the exception of Sarah Hokum, and that shows how well she threw it.
No big bombers in that top 12 either. Holland's the biggest gun in there, and she's 8. So it took every distance advantage out. Some of the names that we see. Ella, we don't see her up there. I don't know where she finished. So
Natalie Ryan, who throws a mile for.
I think Ella may have taken the weekend off, actually.
Oh, did she? I know Paige did.
Yeah, I think Ella took the week off.
Well, then I guess I have another question around this. So with the scores being as close as they were, is it better to have a golf course for the women that's a little easier so scores are closer, or is it a disadvantage to the players who play the harder course as well? Ronnie, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, I think they would even tell you they want to be challenged a little more than this. This was no different than any park course you can play in any town in America. And no discredit to the folks in Houston that were designing the golf course, but I just don't think it was pro tour level even for the females. They play on hard golf courses. This just wasn't one of those. There was a lot of less than 200-foot shots, and the par 5s were all 520 or 30 feet. Every lady on the pro tour can get. I mean, they told you. I mean, Kristen said it multiple times. She said there was 18 birdies on this golf course. You felt like anytime you missed one, you were losing a stroke.
All right. Well, let's move into the men's course, Brock Diamond. Smitty, did you think this fared better than the ladies' course?
Oh, it was better than the ladies' course by far. It was shreddable, as we saw, by a few amazing rounds, but it was also punishing. I felt like it was an okay course for them. It wasn't the hardest challenge they've had, but it was interesting for sure with some of the elevation change and shot shapes. It had long par 4s and it had must get 3s that were not easy shots that those guys made look really easy.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I think this was the type of course I would like to see a little more often on tour. If you're going good, can you go really low? Yeah. But if you were a little sideways, even par wasn't out of the question either. There was enough punishing rope to make it difficult in places, and it gave us a lot of really interesting shots we don't get to see every week on tour. The low shots that are common in park golf, like you mentioned, the par 3s where they were having to really pick a gap through the trees and thread a needle with something slower. I personally thought this was a really good pro tour course, and one I would like to see more style of.
I think it'd be a fun one to play. I think guys even who throw as far as you and I could put it in the right spot and be able to attack the green somewhat. I mean, we'd have a lot longer putts than what AB and Gannon were having for sure, but I think we'd have a blast playing it.
I think so too.
unlike some of the courses we see him play.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of them courses that for guys like us who are, we can throw it a little over 400 feet, maybe 430 if we really get into one. There's a lot of courses on tour that's just, you're simply not going to score with 430 feet. This is one I think you could, with the exception of a couple holes. I mean, there was a 1,200-foot par 5 and some 880 par 4s that were around corners and stuff like that, which were tough. Those weren't ones everybody was getting. I personally really like the track myself. I mean, I think it's the best course they've played since chess.com, with the exception of, obviously I love the Beast down there in Waco, but we didn't get to see that all 4 rounds.
Yeah, I liked it. No complaints about it whatsoever.
Same. I really liked it.
Well, let's look at the top 10 of the men's side. Anyone standing out here? Anything notable?
Well, that tie for 7 are both interesting people. Nathan Queen, the lefty, who we haven't seen since he won $30,000. And then Braden Sides, who just happened to be somebody's early season sleeper, I think, getting up there into the top 10. The rest of those guys, though, no shock at all that they're in the top 10 of any tournament ever.
No, you got some of the best in the business there on that leaderboard. It was a great leaderboard. It was great action. It was fast and furious, boy. If you had to run and get some popcorn or go get you a fresh beverage, you might miss 3 or 4 or 5 birdies. I really enjoyed the action this weekend.
Yep. And Gavin Rathbun finishes 6th. I think that's another one that might be a little surprising. So good finish for him. He's had a pretty solid start to the year. Ronnie, I have to ask you about your boy, AB. Another win, another 1,100 rated plus round. Come on, dude. He's a killer. What can you say about him?
I mean, he's everything we thought was possible so far to start this year. I mean, two wins and a couple fourths, just going as good as anybody is out there. He's found that 25 to 30 foot stroke, which has really plagued him in his career. And now it's went from being a glaring weakness to, possibly the biggest strength in his game. And I gotta be honest, I don't see it slowing down. I mean, yeah, we want to talk about how things got tight or whatever, but the lead never got closer than 2. He kind of had them guys at arm's length the whole time. It looked a little hairy a couple times. He's won twice this year, and in both cases, he was able to lay up from inside the circle to do it on the 18th hole. You're doing a lot of work on the Pro Tour when you can do that. I mean, he's the only one that's been able to do that so far. And even with a bad round, the last round, or an average round, it was still 1050, and he averaged almost 1080 for the week. So I think you clearly have he and Gannon Buhr as the 2 best players on the planet, in my opinion. And I can't wait to see how this rivalry unfolds over the next, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I think this is the third one of those rivalries that you and I are going to get to enjoy. It's probably the second one for Lucas. We got to we didn't get to see much of it, but we had Kenny and Barry. We knew they were going to be duking it out at every Worlds and every USDGC, just no coverage. And then we obviously saw Ricky Paul for that long stretch. And now we've got these guys. And just think about the gap between what happened with Climo and Barry compared to the skill level of Ricky and Paul. That's a big step up. I feel like these 2 dudes have even stepped it up another notch, man. They're doing some incredible stuff.
Yeah, mind-blowing stuff. If we could be so lucky as to have this rivalry approach those previous 2, I mean, we're in for one hell of a decade in the 20s. You got to throw in a couple other guys in that mix too. Kyle Klein gets... he gets kind of overlooked a lot of times. Didn't hear a whole lot out of Kyle Klein this weekend. He finishes 10th, right? So, but I think those 2 guys are clearly the top 2, and everybody else is chasing them. I think both of them have a skill set that really nobody else has. Currently. Let's see Eagle when he gets healthy, if he can approach that. But I think those 2 guys are in almost every aspect of the game, the best players.
They're really good. That is for dang sure.
I definitely root for AB. mostly because of your love for him, Ronnie. I can't act like I loved AB the same way, but it really, really bounces off you and comes back to me. So I pull for the kid. I will say, though, Gannon Buhr, for me personally, I just can't get behind him a lot of times. And I don't know if it's because he's young. But I get these like crybaby vibes from him. I don't know if you guys saw his post round interview.
We did.
Oh yeah, we did.
We did. There was a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And we're right with you. I mean, I think if that thing plays out the other way and Gannon wins and AB comes up a little bit short, I don't think we hear anything about how. I think the one that disappointed me the most out of Gannon was when he said AB missed his drive and didn't get in the trees and get punished. That could have been a stroke. So what, kid? You hit a tree, kicked 500 feet left, didn't go OB, and got up and down for a birdie. How about that one that you forgot to mention?
Goes both ways.
You know what? Your spits, AB didn't have any differences the pace on the putt there.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Chris and I have actually talked about this a few times previously with Gannon, and I do love Gannon. I love watching the kid play. He's unbelievable. I tend to just attribute it to him being a kid. I mean, he's 18 or 19 years old. I was 18 or 19 years old once, and I probably had a little bit of that in me too. So I think we can chalk it up to that, but I really don't want to see that. What I don't want to see in a post-round interview is the guy I played got lucky. Right? Poor me. I had 2 spits, yada, yada, yada. Well, hey, you also only lost by 1, but the other guy laid up from a putt he probably wasn't going to miss. So we can probably throw that spit out. The hole that he, quote unquote, got lucky on was a hole that you kind of have to throw it and get lucky on a little bit. I just don't want to hear the other guy got lucky. If you want to talk about how great you played, that's great. We all saw it. We know you played good, but let's not tear the other guy down in the process.
Yeah. And I read his Instagram post a little bit later, and it wasn't in the same tone. I think some of that was just caught in the moment. I mean, he just got 10 birdies, crazy birdies in a row, 2 near aces, and just came up a little bit short. I mean, I'm sure it stung, and yeah, I just wish that. Well, I'm with you. I wish he wouldn't have tried to knock AB down a level instead of just giving him credit, because AB did exactly what he had to do to win.
Exactly. I completely agree.
Hey, we didn't have anybody late for their tee.
Hey, I thought we wouldn't talk about it at all.
Oh, but, yeah. No. I have something I want to bring up.
Okay.
Ronnie and I actually discussed this as it was happening. It was I think it was hole 17 or 18 in the ladies. Anakin went up to throw, and she second guessed what she wanted to throw, so she went back to her bag. And she second guessed again, and she was literally running back and forth from her bag to the tee. And I'm thinking, first of all, if anybody called 30 seconds on her here, they've got issues. But I don't want to see this gal who's trying to get the biggest win of her life rushing to try to get a shot off in less than 30 seconds. They're the last group out. They weren't slow by any means. They were playing at a perfect pace. So once again, just another reason to get rid of that whole 30-second thing and just call it pace of play. Like, some shots take longer. When you're trying to win your first Disc Golf Pro Tour event, that shot might take a little bit longer than the first shot of a Disc Golf Pro Tour event.
Yeah, we had that conversation, and I agree with you, man. I'm pretty sure it was 17. You're right. And she has 2 discs up there. She said the wind hit her in her face. She didn't like it. She went back to get another one. She ran back to get another one and go back up there. If she now rushes that shot because she's afraid of getting a 30-second call and then yanks that OB or puts it in one of them early trees or something, and that ends up deciding that golf tournament, that would have been a shame. And we would hope that would never happen. But I mean, we've seen some 30 seconds called in the first few weeks, and I'm with you. I think we that rule just needs to be changed altogether.
And I think it will be.
That was a big moment for her, and the only thing in her mind was, "Oh my God, I got to get this off in 30 seconds." So yeah, it absolutely needs to go away. All right, let's jump into a new segment then. Bum-ba-da-dum. Top 5.
I'm
Yeah,
not going to
boys.
lie here. I struggled to pick what I thought Ronnie might say.
I will say, currently, Smitty, you are up 4 to Ronnie's 1 win, and you both have a tie. All right. So
Throw that tie out.
let's
Yeah,
see what's out of it.
I'm scrapping for everything I can get here. Give me my ties.
Just so everyone is aware, our category this week, our top 5, are the top 5 tour surprises, player surprises on the year. So this one's going to be a tough one. So we're not going to do specific spot. If you get them at all, you get a point. If you get the exact spot, then you get an additional point. With that being said, who wants to go first?
I won. I'll go.
Okay.
And other way. And am I really on your left?
You're on my left.
Am I pointing at you now?
Nope.
Boy, this is weird.
I'm
I'm pointing at you on my side.
You would think I would get it eventually, right? I've missed it every single time. I finally.
So, well, just let you know, Lucas, before we jump into this, Ronnie and I did a chat back and forth, and we said we're just going to go with the men's to keep it, narrow it down just a little bit more.
Okay.
So,
sounds good.
Here we go. My number 5 surprise, the one that shocks me a little, but not overly surprised. Paul McBeth missing cash 2 times. I knew he was injured. I knew he wasn't 100%. I still thought he would be in the mix, but I was discrediting how good the rest of these dudes are, I think.
Was he at
I
Texas
almost
State?
picked-
He didn't
No,
play.
he wasn't there.
Okay. I didn't think so.
I'm glad you did that. So you've kind of broke the ice already. I wasn't sure how you were playing this, whether you were playing at the top 5 good surprises or surprises. I did as well. I wasn't sure whether you did, so I'm going to be at a disadvantage probably. I thought you might pick Paul if you did go that way. Obviously, anytime Paul McBeth's not playing well is a surprise to anybody. Kudos to you. I'll give you my number 5. Calvin Heimberg. Is it a surprise Calvin's finished in the top 5 the last 2 weeks? Of course it's not. He's arguably the best player on the planet. But he's got 3 really good finishes, and he ain't throwing forehand at all. He's doing it all with one spin, and especially this last week, the forehand spin really played, and he was still right there. And I think until the last round, he missed a couple C1X putts, but he hadn't missed a C1X putt in a month before that. So my number 5 surprise is Calvin Heimberg still being Calvin Heimberg, playing one-handed.
Yeah, I just think that guy's that dang good that it doesn't matter too much. But, coming down the stretch, I was pretty sure he's going to have to throw one on 17. Kind of got pinched off left. Or maybe it was 16 was a little par 3. But there was a shot where he was in a bad spot and a forehand would have been so easy and it wouldn't have been very long. I thought he might go to it, but stuck to his guns.
He's committed to it. To it.
If that's your job, dude, what did Schwebe say? You got to take care of your tools.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I think Eagle's in the same boat, right? He tried to do some when he told himself he shouldn't, and he's paying the price.
Yep. All right, my number 4. We've talked about this guy a few times already this year. Wichita Boyd, Luke Humphreys. Is it a real surprise that he's had the finish he's had? No, he's kind of done this in past years, jumping out to early starts. But the dude's 5th in points right now. He's already in a pretty good spot the way the points work to make the tour finals. That's why I chose Luke as my number 4.
It's a good pick. That's a really good pick. My number 4, this guy, I picked him based on good play, unlike Paul, who I picked on bad play. Averaging 34th place, has 2 top 20 finishes, and last year I would have written him off. Paulie Labari. You had it, didn't you?
I had him on my list and I swapped him out.
Hate to hear it. Hate to hear it. So
I had him on my list and I swapped him out. Yeah. He what's usually 38 now?
yeah,
He's
something like
he's
that.
approaching master's age and that course, and he's not very long anymore. I mean, he's long enough. I mean, right, but he's doing it. He's having to do it a whole different way. But yeah, can't argue with Yuli.
Yeah, he's playing great, man.
Yeah.
So probably going to get a point here. Hopefully it's not 5 points. Gavin Rathbun. Outside of 196th place, this guy has gotten 6th, 15th, and 6th with probably an old bag of tricks that he kept in his closet and brought back out. I did hear something on another podcast that maybe he had a Gavin Rathbun Warlock coming out. So that'd be a gateway disc, a putter. I think that's what I heard. But yeah, I'll bet you the guys in Emporia are kicking themselves for letting this dude get away.
Absolutely. I mean, it just shows you the difference that it can make for a player when they're healthy and when they're not healthy. Gavin's kind of got that injury healed, and I mean, we all knew this a few years ago when he was making splashes on tour that the kid was really, really good, and he's still a kid and he's still really, really good.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that he knew even going into this year that he was completely healed, because there was some talk whether he's going to play or not. But man, he's playing good.
Yes. And yes, Ronnie did get that one. He had it as your number one, so just 1 point.
I'll get one of his.
I'm sure you will. All right, so we got my number 3, correct?
Yes, sir.
My number 3 surprise is James Conrad. It's not been terrible most of the time for big game James, but he really hasn't been in the mix at all. It's not what we're accustomed to seeing out of the guy. He's usually one of them guys that you can count on at least finding himself somewhere in the mix throughout a week. And he's really kind of been MIA for the most part on the leaderboard, been a non-factor in basically every event. And that surprises me.
Yeah, it is shocking that we just haven't seen anything from him, really.
Yeah, really shocking.
I mean, besides him laying down in mud off the tee, it's about all we've saw of him this year.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen any golf holes played out, I don't think. Maybe a shot here or there.
And on some courses where we would think that James would probably play pretty well.
Yeah, he could have. I thought this weekend would have been a good course looking back at it.
Yeah, that little low line drive shot played real well. And you would think that would be right up James's alley. And he just was, I mean, this was a really bad finish for him. So.
Well, he absolutely shredded the next course. So hopefully he'll bounce back. He had 1,100 round last year at Jonesboro. So maybe we'll see some Conrad.
Hope so.
I'd like to see it. I like watching him. Just the fact that this game is so different than everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
I do too. I think it's a more interesting game when James is in the mix. My number 2, you've already put him on yours, Gavin Rathbun, for everything that we already said, right? The guy's such a good player and was, has popped himself up there and, looks to be a factor every week now.
I'm so disappointed in my attempts at yours.
He's got 0. Just for the record, he's got 0.
What's the score?
It's about to be 6-0. So we want my number 1?
No.
We want your 2 and your 1 first.
Oh, I haven't done my 2?
Nope.
I'll do my 2. Joey Buckets. 5-pointer.
Just one.
No,
I mean, this guy, we knew of him from last year from mainly the Casey White Open, which wasn't one of the bigger Disc Golf Pro Tour stops. And I think that maybe he got on a lead card or something somewhere before. But This guy's been at the top, man. He's averaging 20.5 for his place. So, he's one of those top 20 guys nearly every week.
Really good player. Yeah. What else can you say? He's just a really good player. And should it have surprised us? Maybe not. We saw how good he was. And if you looked at his rating before the year started, one of the highest rated players in the world, but really hadn't done it on a consistent basis. And now he's really thrown himself in the mix seemingly at some point every week. This wasn't his best event, but he's Joey's a good player.
So my number one, about to go down 7-0. This guy made my list because every time I watch his podcast now and he says somebody is terrible at disc golf, I just want to say, look in the mirror, pal. Brody Smith.
I had him on my list for you, but like I said, I took the surprises for poor play off. So I took Brody. I actually pulled Brody and Yuli off of my list. I don't have him on there, but we'll just do spoiler alert. Brody Smith is my number one as well.
And neither of you picked that for each other.
Brody Smith is also my number one.
I don't understand what's going on. I mean, he can throw far.
Bad.
He's got shots. It's embarrassing bad for him, I would think.
Oh yeah, to have the podcast, to be the disc player that he claims to be, and then I think he's averaging close to 100th place, right?
85th.
It's 85th in points. Yeah, the fall is just so dramatic and seemingly out of nowhere. And it's not like maybe I play okay here, I play okay. It's pretty bad every round, every week. And he's out of the golf tournament 9 holes in on a weekly basis. The tournament's over for him before his drinks even got warm from starting his round.
Well, he went 5 down in the last round this week to move up from 100 to 85th or 87th, something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll be if it doesn't start going better for him, I don't see him going too far out of Texas.
I'm with you. I could see a scenario where the actual touring becomes something he doesn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just opens up cards.
Which is too bad because I like his story. I don't mind his game. I love his podcast. But yeah, dude, that's got to be tough to deal with, I would think.
Yeah. Who won this week?
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. Here we go. You know what? We had a winner, and Smitty got 0 points. Ronnie got 2, and Ronnie is your winner. And now the total is 4-2 to 1. So congratulations, Ronnie.
This is a good one. I think maybe we do this a similar type of deal, maybe every 5 or 6 weeks or every couple months or so. What's kind of surprising us? It's a good top 5 to do. And we already did a top 5 this year where we picked preseason. Our preseason surprises for the top 5, or our preseason sleepers for the top 5. It's kind of cool to look at now, even just, the 5 week suspense since that happened, what's changed.
Yep, and we'll look at that tonight even. Okay, well, let us move into a new topic, and our new topic is going to be Wheel of Debate. Let's get into our Wheel of Debate. We have plenty of topics here. We will spin. We will find a topic. On the spot, these two gentlemen will do a debate. One will get the pro side of the conversation. The other will get the con. Before we figure out what we're going to roll for, let's talk about last week. There were 3 total votes. 2 votes went to Ronnie. 1 vote went to Smitty, and the only vote for Smitty was Smitty himself voting for himself.
I didn't realize we had the option to stuff the ballot box. Maybe I could have been winning this whole time. I don't know. This winning stuff is a little bit fun. I don't know.
It's fun, isn't it? Kind of fun.
So the new score for Wheel of Debate is Smitty 3, Ronnie 2, and 1 tie.
Oh man.
Don't call it a comeback.
So let's go ahead and spin and see what we get today. Let's see what happens. Oh, almost.
Oh, come on, baby. Here we go.
We want this one.
We've
We want
been
this
waiting
one.
for this one
Yeah.
for a minute. Can we just do we need to spin? Can we just take our
Yeah, because you guys have a stance, right?
Well, it's the same.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same. Mine's a little more adamant though. Go ahead and spin it.
No,
And then
you
we'll
take it. You take it. I want you
Okay,
to have it.
I'm gonna take the con on this.
Well, let's first of all explain what we mean by perfect round.
Nope, let's not.
Let's
Perfect
not.
round.
Okay, here we go.
That's the term that gets thrown around.
So is that what we
Perfect
want to
round.
do? Do we define what perfect round means to us, or what's been thrown around as a perfect round?
Well, I think the debate is what the commentators call a perfect round.
What is a perfect round?
Okay, what is a perfect round? So, with that being said, Ronnie, you're going to go first since you won. I'm going to put a stopwatch up. And are you ready, sir?
I am.
All right. And your time begins now.
The perfect round. We've heard this term thrown around by commentators so often, right? Someone will get 6 birdies in a row. Oh, they're on a perfect pace. Paul Macbeth has had 18 under par a couple of times. Perfect round. That is the most idiotic thing I have ever heard in my entire life. What is perfect about something that isn't perfect? Perfect by definition means it can't be bettered. Correct? But in these cases that they're using it, they're using the term to take place of saying all the birdies or 18 under par, whatever it is. Quit using perfect round. Perfect is perfect, and 18 under par is 18 under par, and they are not the same thing.
Okay. Thank you, Ronnie. All right.
I think he practiced that one in the shower.
I think I needed another 180 seconds.
Yeah, I could feel the passion coming from this one.
Look at the smirk on this man.
All right, Smitty.
Wow.
So you get to counter that argument. Are you ready, sir?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
I'm going to say that I partially agree with Ronnie, but he's completely wrong on another front. The part I agree with is 18 under is not a perfect round. When Paul Macbeth shot 18 under at Deglow, he had pars and eagles on a couple of holes. I do, however, feel that if somebody was to birdie every single hole and the pars were marked correct, that would be a perfect round. According to PDGA, you should get 2 shots from inside of the circle. So if somebody was able to put 18 drives in the circle and capitalize on all of them, getting 18 down, perfect round to me. Now, do I think anybody could ever shoot 36 down? Nah. 18 down's doable.
All right.
Yeah, I got a counter argument question here.
We got rebuttal. Okay, rebuttal.
Do I have time for rebuttal?
You can.
You got all the time you want. We like seeing you smile, you grouchy old fucker.
What in bowling? What is it? What is 300 score in bowling?
Yeah.
It's a perfect game. What happened during that perfect game?
Yeah.
You had
Strike,
12
strike,
opportunities to strike, and you struck 12 times. A perfect game in baseball. 27 batters up, 27 batters retired by out. Right? You and I have nearly shot 19 under par in doubles on a couple of different occasions where we kind of choked at the end when we had a chance. So if 18 under par is perfect, then what is 19 under par? Because I'll use the argument on these golf courses with par fours and par fives. Let's say you birdie all the threes and fours and eagle the par fives and shoot 21 under par. Is that 3 better than perfect? No, it's not. Quit saying that stuff. It's so dumb. The dumbest thing I hear on the commentators is when, oh, he's 1 better than perfect right now. That by definition is an impossibility.
I heard something dumber. Charlie thought turtles gave live birth.
I did hear that.
At least that's just a mistake. That's not stupidity.
Folks, there's no reason to vote this week. You don't have to. We'll just give it to Ronnie. Change the score, Lucas.
Okay. Smitty has thrown in the towel. But you guys can still vote as well. But that was wonderful. It's now he is waving the white paper.
We've been waiting for that one to come up. That one is one that really gets under my skin.
There's no we about it.
There's no we, Ronnie. You have been ready.
There's a reason I just let you pick, just so you could just stomp a mud hole in me, and I'll take it like a man.
But honestly, it was well worth it. Very good argument.
It drives me crazy.
Second best argument on this show. The first is my 30 seconds of silence.
I knew it.
It was pretty good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's move into our next segment, which is going to be courtesy violation. We have a rules related question. And so I'm going to show this video to you all. And then I want you to give your opinions on this. That is coverage from the Augusta Open that will be dropping Friday. That disc split the Mando tree. So the Mando tree is a V. It went through and then was in bounds. So what would you rule this, Ronnie?
I would probably consider it missed.
That's the correct call.
Smitty, you have no doubt?
In my opinion on that tree, so regardless of where it forks or whatever, the left edge of that tree, of that main trunk, would be the barrier, which if you cross on the other side of it, it's going to be missed. So I would consider it a missed mandatory.
I think you got 2 things that you can call there. Both are in Rule 804.01, which you can find on your PDJ scoring app. If you don't have it, get it. B says the restricted plane is a vertical plane marked by one or more objects or other markers which define the edges of the space. So to me, that would be
the left side
of the tree. Now, the tree does go up like that, so that's a little bit weird. But then the other part is if part of a thrown disc clearly enters into a restricted plane, which to me, that's the one that would say that it has to be left of that tree. And this is the same thing, almost the same thing that happened to Anthony on hole 1, where he hit the Mando sign and they had to bring a PDJ official in to see if he went, because that disc could have very well bent the sign over and then brought it back, to which he would have broken that restricted plane. But I mean,
that's one where there was and I don't know how well this one was defined once you got there, but you should have a lateral plane on the ground next to that tree to indicate where the plane actually stops at. And they did have it for the event down there in Houston, and they were trying to determine, it was on the tree itself, and they were trying to determine whether the front edge of that tree was before or after that plane, because if it hit the tree right there, does that break the plane before it bounces back? And since it entered the restricted area at any time, wherever, regardless of whether it came back or not, it was deemed to have missed. But in this situation, I would, like I said, I think you got it right. That vertical line, to me, I think we saw this happen, maybe 2 or 3 years ago with Paige Pierce up in Vermont, where a very similar thing happened.
Yeah, I remember where it was, but yeah, it happened.
I'm pretty sure it was at Fox Run, and no one had the guts to call her missed.
Yeah, and this was marked correctly. It had the line out to the side.
And I even think the OB rules said must pass left of Mando. So I think it even stated left on the card. A few people said, it's kind of a gray area. We'll give it to you. But Ron took it from the Mando. He's like, no, I think I have to pass left of it. And so he penalized himself there.
Good for Ron for, that's part of playing golf. We call penalties on ourselves, not only other players, but on ourselves. And he knows the rule there, and he, rightfully enforced it against himself. I give him, credit for doing so.
Yep. All right. So good question. I think that was a fun little topic. So let's move into our last topic, our last segment, which is weekly picks. All right, so we are not making our picks for Jonesboro, but we're going to look back at Texas State's. You all didn't get to hear who we chose, but we had some people on our list. So for our stink, Ronnie, you said, who is that, Austin Turner?
It is.
Okay.
Your shine from the week before. I think I'm onto a pattern here.
Smitty said Joey Buckets, and then I said Isaac Robinson. Well, we all know how there's going to be some bad ones here. I'll just let you know now. I'm not good at this. You all know this, though. It's not a surprise. So let's go ahead and see how they finished. It says 7 there, Smitty. I think it might be cutting something off. Where did Austin finish?
67th.
Okay. So Ronnie won that one. I'm like, if Austin finished 7th, that's a little bit worse than mine. Buckets finished 34th, and then Isaac finished 22nd. So he didn't stink. Still not Isaac-like compared to last year, but definitely way better than your people did.
He didn't stink, but your pick really stunk.
We'll when we do the not surprises at the halfway pull of the season, Lucas sucking at this game is definitely not a surprise. That'll be my number one. Okay, go ahead and mark it down.
I will say there's quite a few weeks for redemption. Ronnie, you've had some redemption already this week with some wins. Just wait. I'm hoping it happens for me.
You want to know how bad of a pick this was? This is 5 places better than his average finish this year.
All right.
That's a crappy pick.
Not great. Not great.
and we say it's not very Isaac-like.
Yeah.
It's just a bad pick. It's probably the worst pick in the history of this segment.
No,
no, I think there's another one. There might be another one.
Well, so far, we're not there yet.
So sleepers. Ronnie went Clemens, Smitty went Conrad, and I went Brody. We've already talked a little bit about Brody on the show today, and I actually did better than Conrad did. So thank you, Brody. And Clemens was a great pick, Ronnie.
Yeah, and he kind of slipped a little bit on Sunday, fell down about 10 spots. Yeah, Clemens has not been Clemens quite yet. Brody as a sleeper. The only sleeper for him is you might as well not watch him on Sunday and stay in bed.
His last round earned Lucas a yellow instead of a red.
Yeah, that 5-under was huge.
I think there should have been 2 reds.
I thought about it, but I had to weigh the options between who was worse. And Brody, average finish was 85th, and he finished 87th.
Mhm.
So
And Conrad's average finish is what?
so Brody didn't quite do as good as he's been doing.
He didn't quite do as bad as he's been doing.
No, he
Yeah,
did worse. His average finish was 85th. He was still two places.
Oh, okay. It's the other way. Okay. Well, great pick, Lucas.
Yeah. James has been finishing, his average is 35th and he finished 90th.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely worse.
Yeah, I'm never picking James again.
I mean, this is why he was on Ronnie's list, right? I mean, honestly, he is a surprise at how poorly he's played this year.
Look at that hair, though.
I know.
There's a lot of good hair on that slide.
Exactly. There's a couple there. All right, and let's look at our shine. Okay. Bradley Williams for Ronnie, Ricky Wysocki for Smitty, and I chose Joey Buckets. After all was said and done, Joey Buckets 34th, Bradley Williams 39th, and Ricky Wysocki 17th. So is that a green? Where does Ricky usually finish, Smitty? What's his average finish this year?
6th.
I think we got to give it to him. He was the only one to get a top 20 guy.
Okay.
And neither one of our guys were ever a factor. Ricky kind of didn't have the greatest weekend and still finished 17th, where Brad Williams actually moved way up to get to 39th. He had a pretty good weekend to finish 39th.
Yeah, I actually thought Bradley Williams was a good pick. So I'm glad I didn't tell you that, because you would have
I would have immediately changed.
Exactly.
Well, hang on a second here, boys.
Okay.
Nobody's going to bring up the fact there's 2 yellows. How come nobody got a red?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm never going to complain about not getting a red. So,
Nobody sucked.
I think somebody deserves a red here, though. Here's
Bradley Williams.
Here's why you got 2 yellows. Buckets finished 18 places worse than normal. Bradley Williams finished 18 places worse than his average.
Oh, really? Huh. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
So I couldn't give a red. I initially gave Ronnie a red because obviously 39th is worse than 34th, but I had to go yellow. I couldn't do it. But after the way this show's panned out, I will be going back and editing that to red.
Where's DJ Khaled when you need him? All I do is win.
Yeah, that's another win for Ronnie. All right. He's had a good show.
Yeah, whatever.
Wow.
We're gonna have to promote this one pretty hard.
Well, let's look at a recap of our preseason sleepers, shall we? You boys picked, I don't have a slide for this or anything, so I'm just going to stop sharing here. But you boys had 5 sleepers you chose for the beginning of the year. I don't know if you have this information available, but if you want to share who you picked and where their average is finish for the year, let's share with the people how you guys have been doing.
Not great. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, none of our picks are really crushing it.
We both have one doing decent, pretty good. We have one that if it was us, we'd be excited in their place, and we have one that's decent, and then we got some eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Who's got the biggest egg?
Wherever Ronnie's at, yeah.
Well, does he though? I suppose Scott Stokely. I also picked Sullivan Tipton, but he's been injured. He got hurt at chess.com, tried to play the next week in Waco and immediately had to withdraw as well. So we don't know. The year's still young. Hopefully he can get healthy and go. But Scott Stokely played a pretty decent first round this week and then has withdrawn, and I never saw why. He said he was going to say.
Yeah, he said he's going to put a video out today explaining it.
Yep, I still haven't seen that. So he hasn't been great. Evan Scott has been not great so far. Jakub Simerod, who I took as my number one sleeper of the year, has been well. He's got an 18th place.
Top 20 is good for a sleeper.
Yeah, he's an 18th in the overall tour standings. And then a guy that I took that's, was a lot more of a surprise that most people don't know who he is Braden Sides. And he'd been pretty middle of the road until this week and pops off a top 10 in Houston.
Yeah, that was cool.
I don't think that'll be the last one. He's had some really good rounds so far this year, but hadn't been able to put a whole tournament together and really played well for a whole weekend this week. And I think there's more of that to come.
Yeah, and on my side, my number 5 was Brody, and we've already discussed how he's done. But believe it or not, I had to pick worse than Brody. I picked Parker Welk
as your number one.
My number one, and that guy, he's having a terrible, terrible season. I think the reason I picked him is because he had just come off of winning Shelly Sharp. He played well at another one of those Arizona tournaments.
Maricopa.
We remembered him from winning DDO, but yeah, he's averaging 95th place.
Dang, that's worse than Brody. Dang,
yeah,
that is surprising. I didn't even realize.
I don't know if he's played all 4 events or not, but that's his average place.
I think he's only played 3 of the 4. He actually almost made my list of surprises. He's been not great, especially after as good as he was in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. And then my number 2 pick, I had the last year's amateur player of the year, rookie of the year, whatever he was, Paul Kranz, first year on tour, struggling, 72nd average. And then I had Alden Harris in my 3rd slot, who is averaging 39th. He had a good showing this week to move him up quite a bit on that average finish. And I still think he'll pop off at some point and have some good ones.
Yep.
And then I had Ezra in my 4-hole.
Is this Robinson or Aderhold?
Aderhold.
Okay.
And he has a average of 17, but 3rd this week really boosted that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your pick of Alden Harris. We're going to come up here in just a few weeks. We're going to come up on the first major of the season. Champions Cup is going to be at Northwoods because of what happened in Georgia. The shift in venue there. Alden Harris may be my surprise pick to win the PDGA Champions Cup. He played really well there last time. Ledgestone had used Northwoods Black, or maybe it was at Worlds when they used Northwoods Black. I think you're right with Alden Harris. I think it's only a matter of time before that dude is, sitting in the top 10, 15 in the points.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and these aren't points; these are average place. I just used Statmando to search them real quick. That was the platform I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So,
well,
we didn't do great, but we didn't do terrible.
Yeah, there's some really bad ones in there though, but that's what happens with sleepers. I'm glad I didn't give any sleepers. So, Tristan Tanner, I think was my sleeper, and he's probably not great. You want to do it?
Let's do a quick search. I actually just looked him up earlier, and let me make sure of my numbers here. Currently, Tristan Tanner is I'm too high. He's 84th in the points. So you get a point just for completing the event. Tristan Tanner has 4.25 points in 4 starts.
Oh, Tristan.
His 52nd place finish at Waco did get him an extra quarter of a point. So, I mean, he's got that going for him.
Let's go, Tristan.
Here, let me.
Yeah, what's his average finish?
75.5. His best place is 52nd. His worst is 92.
Okay. Well, better than Brody, better than Parker, better than.
The only reason he's better than Brody is because of that 52nd at Waco.
Let's go. Yeah, just a matter of time. He's my dude. All right. Let's jump into the Survivor League. All right. So, Ronnie, who was your pick? Because we didn't get to hear last week. So, you want to let the people know who you chose?
I will. I took Calvin Heimberg.
Okay. And let's
I
see
took the defending champion, even though he was limited and can only throw it one direction. I still went with Heimberg.
All right. And let's see how people, who else picked. It looks like Nick chose Nicholas Antela. Patsy also chose Vinny with you, Ronnie. So after all was said and done, Nick, he gone. So it's down to 2, Patsy and
Let's
Ronnie.
go, Patsy!
I don't know. That's
Oh,
not the way the trend is going. Your
yeah,
boys are winning.
yeah, he is. But it is a new week soon. But wow, we're down to 2. And then I'm just hoping it ends fast because I want back in. I am tired of sitting on the sidelines.
He needs
Me
to
and
get,
Patsy, we're going to see if we can make this thing go forever. We might just team up and pick the same person for a few more.
You know, y'all have been picking some same people.
That's what I was going to say. We need to go through and
I have a spreadsheet, so
Okay.
I'll send it to you both.
okay, just so we can know who we've used so far. It's only been 4 events, and I'm 4 events in. I've not used AB. I've not used Matty O. I haven't used.
Don't give this
Isaac
away,
Robinson.
Ronnie.
I'm just saying. I've got options. I've got
You do.
options. I'm
You
ready.
do.
I
Isaac
can't-
Robinson is not a good choice.
I can't wait till we start over so Lucas can play for another week.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just excited to donate my money. I love you guys.
it's fun. It's fun. It's one of the things to pay attention to during the tournament. I'm always looking. I was making sure Vinny wasn't dropping too far down the board when he kind of started a little bit slow yesterday, and yeah, I was definitely happy to see him.
Let's not
solidly
sugarcoat
in the
it.
top 15.
Let's not sugarcoat it. He was scared after the first 2 holes of the tournament.
Yeah, bogey on Friday might have had my bells going the wrong direction.
He went first available off hole 1, right? To start the tournament.
Matter of fact, I think I made a comment to the 2 of you guys. I can't believe I picked this clown or something.
Yeah, something similar. Yes. We'll have a interview next week with the 400, Mr. 400 win man himself, 402 at this point. Brian Schwebby will join us for an interview, and then we'll also make our picks for Jonesboro, maybe even talk a little bit about Jonesboro in general. So be on the lookout for that. But we have reached the end. We're going to go into the 19th hole, and we'll share one of our favorite moments, the shot of the tournament, and you'll get to see that.
Thanks for watching. If you made it this long, you are
No
better
one's
guy
this
than
far.
me.
No one is this far.
Gold star. And I just appreciate you guys watching and all the people that come up to us and say they're watching. It does mean a lot.
Yeah. Actually, if you made it this far, why don't you write the word? What's a good word for them to write in the comments if they made it this far?
Lucas stinks at picks in the comments.
Yeah. Right. Lucas stinks at picks. If you made it this far, well, luckily no one's going to write that because y'all ain't here. But again, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you on the next one. See you next week. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Gannon is able to birdie 18 because he's already got a birdie here on 17. Meanwhile, Anthony's got to hit this.
Oh, there's a little emotion from the kid.
That's rare.
Wow.
He knows how big that was.